Welcome to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Well, you might be a list maker like me. I put a list together every single day of the things that I want to accomplish. When it comes to retirement, have you put your list together? And sometimes you can actually go online and you'll find a checklist of things to do before you retire. And I found one that is put out by Yahoo Finance. And this one was very, very simple. And I kind of boiled it down into Randy Ease here. And it basically is this: know what's coming in, know what's going out, and have a plan for taxes and have a plan for health care. And that was basically their list. It seems very simple. And then I start to say, are they understating this process? So, Charisse, what are we missing here? Is this a good list? Is this a good place to start? I don't know.
You know what? It's a wonderful list.
Okay.
If you understand how to create income plans and actually do it. It sounds easy, but then when you put pencil to paper, you're like, okay, so I have this and this. So am I doing it? You know what I mean? So let's talk about 5 years before retirement. So if you think you're going to retire in 5 years and that is the plan, we want to take inventory. So we want to take inventory of your assets. We want to take inventory of your fixed incomes that you'll be receiving in retirement. And then we want to take inventory on your liabilities. So let's start with the inventory on your liabilities. So in 5 years, is your mortgage going to be paid off? And if it's not, we want to know when it's going to be paid off. Is it going to be paid off 5 years or 10 years or maybe 20 years after retirement? Because we want to know how to piece that in as an income check in the future, because you don't have to put that money into a mortgage. You can put it into yourself or something else, right? So we want to know what's happening there. Do we have car payments? And will we always have a car payment, or do you pay cash? Do we have credit card payments, right? Or do we just put everything on a credit card and pay it off every month? So there's different steps that we'll consider and walk you through to make sure that this is all dialed in, because this is a very important part. Because if we know what your liabilities are and we can start shaking it off and paying it off over the next 5 years or even 10 years after you retire, it's going to give you a lot more disposable income to enjoy your life, right? So that's inventory number one. Now, inventory number two is, what did you save? And where have you saved? So have you saved in a 401k? Have you saved in a TIA-CREF? Because that's a total different way to take income than a 401k. And there's a lot of different moving parts and all these different types of retirement plans. Or did you save all in an IRA? Or maybe you didn't save in a retirement account, and did you save in a brokerage account, right? Maybe you sold things, you put it in stocks, it's sitting there. Because all those moving parts do matter, because that's part of the tax plan. And figuring out what do we live off first based on where taxes are now. And, there's a lot of considerations there. So where did we save our money? And is it safe money? Is it at risk money? Is it just in real estate? So we'll talk about that. And number three, taking inventory, is what are the fixed incomes that are absolutely guaranteed that you already have set up in place? So number one, it would be Social Security. And do we take it at 62 or do we wait all the way to age 70? So we got to figure out a plan for that. And then if you happen to be so fortunate and blessed to have a pension, we'll talk about the pension, and is it going to pass on 100% that income check to your spouse, or only 50%? So we want to dial into that. And if you don't have a pension and now you're going to be your own pension manager because you saved in this 401k or 403b, et cetera, do we want to turn that into income checks, and how do we do it? And if you want a pension with some of those dollars you saved in those accounts, we can create a private pension. So you still get a somewhat sort of like, but it acts the same, but in my opinion, better pension plan with some of your dollars. You can also do that. And are you going to be having cash rents coming in as you're retired? Are we going to keep the homes that maybe you're renting and we want to use that as an income check? And if not, we have real estate options where you can get income checks from those types of things. And are we in stocks? Are we in dividend stocks? Are we in CDs and interest-bearing accounts? Do you have annuities? Those types of things. So we want to take the inventory on the income, the investments, and the liabilities, and what you still owe. And you start with that, and then we move forward. So I know that thing that you read, Randy, didn't go through all those details, but those are the things you have to consider. And when people come into our office, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I didn't think about that. And so this is why we're here. But then the next step is think about where you're at and where you're working right now. Let's say your salary is $100,000 a year. And you're like, okay, Charisse, when I retire in 5 years, I'm living off $100,000 salary now, and I'm going to definitely need that $100,000 in retirement. So we got to take a step back and like, do we really need that 100,000 or do we actually need less or actually do we need more? So let's say you have $100,000 in gross income from your employer and you're contributing $20,000 to your 401k. Well, technically you subtract that $100,000 salary from the $20,000 you contribute to the 401k and you're actually only living on $80,000, right? Mm-hmm. And because you're not going to be contributing anymore in retirement. Mm-hmm. And then you go a whole nother notch down and talk about insurance. Maybe your insurance is $10,000 a year. Let's just say $5,000 a year. So $80,000 minus that $5,000, now we're at $75,000, right? And then we want to put taxes into plan. So when we start to add taxes, then we'll say, okay, after taxes, let's say it's a really small amount of taxes, really low taxes. We'll just say now we're at $70,000 of net income. So you said you needed 100 at retirement, but actually you really only need 70,000 as this hypothetical example is going. And so you're thinking, oh, okay, you're right. I won't be contributing. My insurance will be cheaper in retirement. And then the last piece of that is, okay, so if we've saved and we have all this money and now we've dialed in and you said, okay, so I'm only living off 70,000 of that 100,000. My last question is, of that $70,000 that you're bringing home every year, how much are you actually putting into a savings account for the future? And it could be another $5,000 a year. So it could be maybe it's $500 a month. Mm-hmm. And you're not using it, you're saving it for the future. So you're not living off that. So really your income is $65,000 that you're living on, right? And then one last piece, let's just say the plan was the mortgage was going to be paid off and you were paying $1,000 a month for the mortgage, not the taxes, insurance. I'm just talking about the mortgage part. So that's $12,000 a year. So now you could take $65,000, subtract $12,000, and now you really only need $53,000 a year to live on that $100,000 you used to living on. So again, I'm writing a book about all this so you guys can read it and then soak it up a little bit faster. So the moral of the story is we need to figure out how much you need to live on. So if you're really going to be living on a net income of $53,000 and then we want to step it up to $60,000 to pay the tax bills, that's your gross income. The question is, in that $60,000, does that cover travel? And if you say no, and now we're at $60,000 in retirement, you might say, Charisse, I'm going to spend $20,000 a year in retirement on travel. So now your 60 is $80,000. So you see what we did here? Mm-hmm. You thought you needed 100. We backed it down to like 53, and then we put travel in and taxes, and now you only need 80. So you're saving yourself $20,000 a year by creating this plan and talking it out with an advisor. That's what we do here. So it's important because if you're going to retire in 5 years, we want to see if you've saved enough today, because honestly, a lot of people come in, Randy, they're like, yeah, we want to see if we can retire in 5 years. And what we find out is they can retire now. I'll look at them. I'm like, why are you waiting? You can actually do it now based on all this math. I will say 8 out of 10 times that is a true statement. And It's so exciting. They're like, what? They look at me dumbfounded saying, what? I mean, I could walk away from this noise and this aggravation whenever I want. I said, yes. So now when you're sick of your boss telling you what to do, you can say, you know what, Mr. or Mrs. Boss, here's the keys. I'm leaving, because you know you can. And or you keep saving, you keep doing what you're doing, and at least you know what you can do in case that type of event arises. Or if you get an illness or you can't work anymore, or if you get fired, you at least know where you stand today, which is key. And I'm going to tell you all this. This is very, very important. I sat with somebody in the Villages just the other week, and they're getting ready to retire December 2024. So that's in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, what we did is we took our $1.5 million and we're taking more risks, because with my contributions of 10% to the investment plan, plus if it grows, 10% over the next year, or maybe 20%, we'll really have a lot more money. And I looked at them, I went, whoa, hold on there.
Yeah.
Because I said, you are in the final hour. You're not 5 years before retirement. You're going to retire in exactly 1 year. This is the time you dial back the reins. This is where you take less risk, because you've already made it. You are here. You are not going to get rich by taking this risk. And I said, listen, what if you weren't in my office and you decide to go down this route, and this time next year, the market goes down 20%? Is that possible 8% return worth a loss of 20%? And she went, oh, That's the risk to reward you talk about on radio. Yeah, the reward isn't worth a 20% risk. Because then I said, if you lose 20%, will you be retiring December 2024? And they said, no, I'm going to work another year to get it back to even. And I said, what if the market keeps going down? Then I keep working. And I said, so your retirement plan for December 2024 could be December 2029, because it takes 5 years to get back to even typically. She went, oh my gosh. She's like, I am so glad I came in here. And her husband's like, yeah, me too. and he was the one who listens to our radio show. So, and I don't think she really listens to it. She's like, oh, okay, this is what you talk about on radio, and it's so important for you all to know that. So don't take risk in the final hour. You've already won the race. Now we want to protect, have some growth at the same time, but start getting creative. And so I gave her some ideas for the 401k, how to preserve and what dollars to put at risk, et cetera. So, but if she hadn't come in, there's no telling what could have happened, right?
Well, for years and years and years, Charisse has said these 3 words: do the math. And that's exactly what she has just shown you, what you experience when you walk through the door at Zinnia Wealth. That is doing the math on your retirement. It's as if, Charisse, today you have a red suit on and you're saying, I'm making a list and I'm checking it twice. And
Yes.
we want to do the very same thing with your retirement. We want to make that list and check it twice, and check it every now and then as well. Every year, every 6 months, every 3 months if we need to. We want to make sure that you're on track for retirement. That's what we do here. That's what this show is all about. Give us a call or use our website, and let's talk through doing the math on your retirement. What's coming in? What's going out? What is the income sources that we can create out of what you've saved? How are we going to handle all of this? Let's sit down and do it. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680 is our number, or you can use our website, zinniawealth.com. There's a big gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. When you click on that, we'll ask you to fill in a little information, and our team will reach out to you.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 803-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Charisse Rivers is an investment advisor representative of Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Charisse Rivers is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Charisse Rivers, NPN Insurance License Number 8718011.